Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of the Facebook Live Titanium Fitness Show. My name is Charles Beckham. My friends and family call me Chuck. And here we have a special guest, Miss Debbie Murphy. Debbie, why don't you introduce yourself and tell us, you guys, she has an amazing story. I just met Debbie on Friday this past week at a funeral, and I guess we're related through marriage. So I just met her Friday, and she has an amazing story. So make sure you guys listen to this whole thing, and it's incredible. So Debbie, I'll let you.
Okay.
So start off with, I guess 21 years ago, or when you started to have your experiences with
Right.
with
It was
chronic
actually
pain.
1997.
1997, you guys.
I had a car accident. I was rear-ended in a high-speed car accident, and I didn't think I was injured, but I discovered with much back pain that I had actually torn the ligaments that hold my pelvis in place. And so I tried everything over time. I was given muscle relaxers and physical therapy, chiropractic. Just over time, I actually lived in Washington State at the time, so after 2 years I was still in severe pain, and so my doctor said, well, maybe it's the climate. So we actually moved all the way down to Texas to try to get a warmer climate, and I continued just to have pretty severe pain. It was actually in my neck and my back at that time. Eventually my neck, after about 4 years, started feeling better, but my back continued to be a major issue, and so I was trying everything. I did the injections, and I did there was where they burned the nerve endings. I don't remember exactly, radio radio frequency, I think is what it's called. I did physical therapy all the time, massage therapy, and I had different doctors who would say, I can fix you, and they would start working on me and say, I'm not sure what's wrong. And so basically, eventually, I had a couple of doctors at the same time say, basically, the ligaments that hold your pelvis in place is what was torn, and they just, it made them hypermobile. So basically, it wasn't holding my pelvis firm enough, and so it was what they called hyper unstable, and so it was basically moving all the time. So at the worst, and this was about 12 years after the car accident, I could not take one step into my home. I actually had a ramp.
And how old were you at this time?
Let's see, I was, 97, I was born in 64, so is that 33?
So you were 33 years old
I think
and
I was
had
about
this.
33, yeah. I had an 8-year-old and a 3-year-old at the time. And so actually one of the sad things was my daughter, I was never able to pick her up again after the car accident. And
Oh my
so
God, that's gotta
she'd have
be...
a little fall and hurt herself, and she could crawl up into my lap, but I couldn't pick her up and rock her and so forth. So that was a sad thing for me. And also my kids grew up with knowing that I basically was, I was mostly housebound. I was on the couch, lying down most of the time. Sitting was severe, and so I couldn't sit for hardly any length of time. I tried a couple of different jobs, but I couldn't sit long enough, and the standing would just cause more tension in my back and shoulders, so I found that I couldn't do that, so I wasn't able to work.
Right before the accident, what was your job? Was it a career, or were you working as a...
No, I was basically a mom and a wife, but I was very active in my church, and so I was going constantly. I was a very busy person, just active in all ways, and so this was a major shift for me, just to be stuck on the couch all the time, being a shut-in, not able to go places.
It was a life-changing event.
Yeah, and I just kept thinking, okay, I'm eventually going to get better, and all these treatments that I was trying to, eventually I'm going to find the miracle cure that is going to take it all away. So I wasn't giving up. I was the model patient. I was doing physical therapy, And, you know, constantly my doctors would say, okay, you're doing all the right things, and, you know, but you're not getting better. So I'd go and try a different doctor. But at one point, well, finally, after 12 years, I actually had a couple of different doctors say, you're not going to get better until you have a fusion. So I had my SI joint, my left SI joint fused. And so I thought, okay, at this point, you know, stability-wise, I'm good, and so I'm going to start getting better. But at that point, I almost started getting worse, which was very frustrating.
You go into detail about that a little bit? Like when you say you were getting worse, what specifically were you experiencing, like day to day?
My pain level just actually started getting worse. I was actually able to sit shorter and shorter periods of time. What happened was after I recovered from the surgery, I went back to work, and I was working as an administrative assistant. And what I found was that I was so busy that I was sitting more than I should, and maybe because it's not good for anyone to sit for too long.
Correct.
That's something that's just not good, and we all tend to do too much sitting. And so there were, you know, crunch periods, so I was just working or sitting too long. And even though they changed me to a standing station, which I know a lot of people try to do, and that's great, it was either too late or just I wasn't able to function at that point. But I didn't know what else to do because things just kept getting worse. So at that point, I started getting on doses of opioids. So
can you say that one more time?
I started getting on opioids at that point.
Okay,
I was on anti-inflammatories for a while, but at this point, then I got on Vicodin, actually Norco, which is kind of almost double the dosage of Vicodin. So Norco. And then at that point, that still wasn't working well, and so a doctor prescribed fentanyl, the fentanyl patch. So I started out, I was given, I believe it was 25 to start out with, 25 micrograms. And it's a patch, and you wear it daily, and you change it every 3 days. And then as my body would get used to the pain medicine, I would be told, okay, you need more. And so at the point that I actually started making my transformation, I was on 72 micrograms of fentanyl patch and used Norco for backup pain.
Wow. And what was your, if you want me asking, what was your weight at that time? Like your body weight?
It was about the same.
Okay.
Yeah. I was told because of the SI joint issue. So for the fentanyl, yes, I was basically 125.
125 pounds, taking that much. I just can't imagine what your body. Would you say your body was almost like at a toxic state? The majority with that much pain medication.
Yeah, it was not good, and of course there were side effects from that medication, and so I was taking additional medication to help with the side effects from the pain medication. Constipation is huge with that, and so I was taking large doses of fiber and stool softeners, that kind of thing, just to keep things regular. I don't remember what all, but there were a number of side effects, maybe some gastro type things, and so I actually had a lot more medication on top just to handle the side effects. So, but I just kept thinking, okay, well, I need this. This isn't covering it, therefore I must need more. And of course, that is the problem with opioids is they are designed to work short term, but your body gets used to that level, and once the body gets used to that level, then it needs more.
So your body's adapting to the current medication.
Yeah, and so you always, I would say almost always, it is something that's recorded is basically your body tends to level off and say, okay, I'm used to that amount, now you're going to have to give me more. And so that's why over several years I started at 25, I think, and went up to 72 micrograms. So.
Wow. So once you were at that, and again, thank you for sharing this. This is very, very personal information. I'm hoping that we can help a lot of people here. So from at that state, where were you at as far as, is there going to be an end to this, or is this just my new life now?
I kept trying everything. I would, people would tell me, we're amazed that you can continue to smile and be okay through all of this pain. And I did feel good about that, but it was because I always thought, okay, there's a miracle cure out there. I'm gonna find it eventually.
So you knew that you were just gonna conquer this thing no matter what. You were determined.
I was determined to do it. And kind of interestingly, the fact that I was so focused and determined to get through this pain was actually a part of what was keeping me in the pain.
Can you say that one more time? Because I'm like, what? What?
The fact that the fact that I was such a focused patient, I was doing everything I could to get over the pain. I was focused on what can I try next? I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. So I was so focused on overcoming the pain that actually I found out later was actually part of why I was staying in the pain.
Okay.
Would you like to know why?
I would like to know why, and also what I'm wondering is okay, at this point, you're pretty much at your max of dosages that you were taking at that time. What was the next step to where, this is where the story, you guys, takes a pivot. I feel that this is kind of like an answer to maybe some people's problems. It may not just be pain. It could be a relationship. It could be a lifestyle. So go ahead and tell us where you are now. I'm amazed by this.
Right. Well, right now I do still have some discomfort, but I am living a very healthy life, managing my discomfort in a very healthy way. And so the way that I got there was, first of all, I was introduced, by the way, I'm in Texas, in College Station, and Dr. Leon Bradway is a physical therapist, and I was introduced to him several years ago, and he has all along said you don't need to be on that amount of medication. You need to do everything you can to try to wean yourself off of that as you can, but I didn't feel capable of doing that.
I'm sorry, what kind of doctor was this?
He's a physical therapist.
So a physical therapist, would you say that was where he kind of showed you the direction that is what led to where you are now? He was
he was my cheerleader and coach, and he would just encourage me. You can do this. There is a different way, and you need to get off of that pain medication. It's not required. If you have, one thing I wanted to mention through all of this is that there's two types of basic pain. There's acute, which you have a broken leg or something like that. You have a time where the pain is acute because it's the normal expected pain for that injury. But when your pain continues beyond, say, 6 months, then that's considered chronic pain.
I see. So acute is kind of like, when you say acute, I think of triangles actually, because you have like acute triangles and obtuse, and so acute I think small. So acute in this instance is basically 6 months or less, and then. After 6 months, it's chronic. I think it's important for you guys to know.
Yes, it's very important because I am speaking to chronic pain.
Okay.
Because there are things that you need to do and take care of in acute pain, and it's handled differently. Most pain is designed to be acute, and then once you get things resolved, then you're pretty much able to manage life. But what was happening with me was my acute pain at the time ended up turning chronic, and so one of the things that I figured out about that is I went, after all of this time, and I'm trying to find everything out. My physical therapist, he said, okay, I go to him regularly. He said, what do you want to work on next? And my biggest issue was sitting. I could not sit because it was a pelvic injury.
Okay.
I could not sit longer than 10 minutes at a time without pain. And so
Wow.
that's the reason that I couldn't work. It basically impacted traveling for sure. We had a vehicle that we got that was wide enough for me to lie in the back seat anytime we traveled anywhere further than 10 to 15 minutes. And so we had that for years and years. It's
Wow.
nice that I don't have to have that anymore, but yeah.
So I'm picturing this, you guys. Can you imagine? I mean, this is almost like, I would say, similar to having. Before I was a trainer, I was a teacher, and I taught. I was in special ed,
Okay.
you know, and there was kids bound in wheelchairs, and I know that they had the vans where they had the ramp that came out. I mean, I think that is just
Yeah, my
everything
husband
you
would sit in
do
the front seat,
is just.
and I would be lying in the back. Yeah, couldn't sit, and we couldn't,
Wow.
converse while we would go down the road.
Man.
And if we went on trips, I always
You had to lie
in the
down
back
more than
seat.
10 minutes. Wow, that's just, man, to me that's life altering. You know.
Yes. Yes.
But I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
No, that's fine. So sitting was the biggest issue that I had, and so when my physical therapist said, okay, what would you like to work on right now or next? And I said, I want to be able to sit for longer than 10 minutes at a time. And he said, there's no reason why you can't be sitting for 10 minutes or more without pain. And I said, well, why do I keep coming to you every week and you're finding structural things, tight muscles and things like that? And he said, well, I'm not saying that you don't have some tight muscles related to your injury and so forth, the pelvic, because I had the fusion. Some of the muscles get a little confused and pull and can't, they're shortening because of they can't move as much as they're supposed to. And so I said, why do I keep coming to you if I should be able to sit without pain? And he said, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have some discomfort. I'm saying that you don't have the level of issue that should cause you to be on 72 micrograms of fentanyl and have no life sitting at home. And so I was very confused by that, and he mentioned the connection between pain and the brain.
Okay.
Pain and the mind and neuroplasticity. Some of you have heard of that. It's the new thing, is that basically your mind can adapt and change, and for many years they didn't think that it could. But I have certainly found that there is a huge amount of power in the mind, in the brain.
Oh, there is tremendous, more than I think we're quite aware of, or that we even practice every day.
Right. And so he encouraged me to do some reading on pain and the brain.
Okay.
So I went online and I found a book. I need to look at the name of it real quick.
Yeah, go right ahead.
They've actually changed the name of the book. It was called You, Pain Free, but now
You, Pain Free.
that was the original name.
Now is it YOU or just a U?
YOU.
YOU,
Pain Free.
Pain Free.
But they've recently apparently changed the name. Maybe that one just wasn't quite as catchy or something, or maybe they put it out a second time with a new name. But now it's called Life After Pain. Life
After Pain, you guys. Write that down if you feel like this would help you. Life After Pain.
Right. The authors are Dr. Jonathan and Naomi Kuttner, Kuttner. And the tagline says, break free of chronic pain and get your life back. And that's what happened to me.
So you read that book.
I read the book.
And then what did you experience
during
and after you read the book?
Yes. Well, I decided, okay, I'm going to start trying to put in, there's basically, there's I believe there's three, maybe four types of chronic pain that they mention in the book. And you're supposed to decide, okay, what type of chronic pain do I have, and try a variety of treatments that could possibly help you with that type of chronic pain. And so I figured which type I was, and I can't remember which one it was, but anyway, I started trying some of the ideas there, and they actually started helping.
Can you give us an example? Because
Yes.
now what I'm wondering, I'm sure you guys are too, is okay, you read this book, you listened to this this doctor, you know, this physical therapist.
Mm-hmm.
Name one specific thing that everybody can take home here that you did different, as far as whether it was a thought or
Yes.
an activity.
Right.
Maybe both, one of
right,
each. Or
right, absolutely. Well, the first thing I did was I reframed my pain and didn't call it pain anymore. I called it discomfort. So just changing the word for me just made it less of a thing. And then earlier, you remember I told you that the fact that I was so focused on getting better ended up being part of the problem. It's because I was so focused on getting better from my pain that my brain was always focused, always centered on pain.
So you're saying, what you're saying here is that you're focused on more the, I don't know if you call it the negative, more the problem, not the solution.
Well, even though I was focused on a solution to the pain, it was still that my whole brain, all of my focus, all of my mind was on, oh, I have pain, I need to fix the pain.
Mm-hmm.
So everything, even though I was proactive and doing everything I could proactively, it was still, my mind was always on, I have pain, I need to fix it.
Okay, now where was that switch? Or tell me again about that.
Mm-hmm. So what I discovered was that all of my brain was on, I have pain all the time, and I need to fix my pain. I need to take pain medicine. I need to do ice and heat and stretches and everything. Not that those are bad, but my brain was all focused on how do I fix the pain, which actually kept my mind focused on pain, kind of interestingly. And so basically the biggest thing I did was I started distracting myself with, if I would start to have some pain, then I would completely find something to distract myself. I would start planning my next vacation, or think about something that totally, I did Netflix sometimes. It was like, okay, I'm just gonna do something that completely focused my mind on something other than the pain.
Okay.
And it was transforming for me.
Wow.
It really was. Because it just, without me, I have been totally amazed that I could have some pain coming on, and normally at some point I would go, I'd lay down the rest of the day with ice and heat, and if I had to get up, I'd have my cane, but I decided to stop doing that. I'm not gonna, I would maybe do ice instead of laying around all day and doing the ice and the heat. I would do ice for 20 minutes, then I would get up and I'd go for a walk and look at the trees, or I'd focus on reading a book that was, like a very exciting book. It has to be, not a boring one.
So now what about the pain management as far as medication?
Okay.
Did you guys back it down? Or did you just stop cold turkey?
I became a self-manager of my situation. I decided all along that I am not going to stay on this pain. Actually, I didn't want to keep introducing more pain. I never wanted to be on the pain medicine. So fentanyl comes in patches, and they're increments of 12.
Okay.
And so when I got up to 50, then there's a 50. And so what I did is I wanted to be able to only take a little bit more and then back off. And so I, instead of doing 50, would do 412s, because I thought, okay, if I'm doing 412s, then I can gradually wean myself off 12 at a time. And so I basically, at 72, was determined I am going to, even though I kept thinking, okay, I'm going to be able to back off, I just had not been able to. So just a little bit at a time, because I was learning to focus my brain on other things. When the pain would come, I would completely distract myself with something else.
And the pain would just physically just go away?
Yes. I remember a time Jim and I were on a vacation. We'd gone down to Galveston, and we were walking. We had decided to walk for a while, and I got to the point where I was limping. The pain was starting to get bad, the discomfort at that point. And I'd been reading this and learning from it, and normally what would happen is there was a bench up ahead. I was starting to really hurt.
Were you right on the seawall?
Yes. There was a bench up ahead, and so I decided that I need to sit down and have Jim go the mile back, which we had walked, to get my cane and bring the car and help me get back home. And I said, I told Jim, I said, that's what I feel like I need to do, but I'm not going to. I've been reading this.
Did you guys hear that? Make sure you're paying attention to this now. This is some really valuable information here.
So I said, but I'm not going to. There was a restaurant up ahead that kind of had an aquarium in it with some fish and everything. I said, I'm just going to keep on walking. I'm going to try not to even limp. I'm going to focus on this restaurant that we're going to and just distract myself. And so it was the most amazing thing to me. And this is what started my entire transformation, is I've been reading this book and getting these ideas. And so from that point on, we walked into the restaurant, we looked at all the different fish aquariums that they had around there, stayed in there for maybe 30 minutes, and then we were walking out, and as we walked out, I saw that bench that I thought about sitting on.
Yes.
That was the first time that I had thought or noticed, or remembered that I had had pain right before I walked in. Because I had completely focused myself on other things, I wasn't limping. I had completely no pain for that 30 minutes. It had completely gone away, because instead of doing what I had thought I needed to do, sit, relax, rest my body, get the cane, go home the rest of the day and do ice and heat, I had distracted my mind to the point that I was shocked. I said, Jim, do you remember what happened right before we came in? He said, oh yeah, you were hurting real bad and you were thinking about having me go get the cane and the car and bring it all back here so you could go home and rest. And I said, yeah, and that was the last time I noticed that I had pain until just now.
Wow.
It was so powerful to me, the power of the brain to be able to focus off of that. So I realized that I could no longer let the pain be in charge.
Yes, you took control of it.
Yes, I needed to be in charge instead of the pain being in charge. And so that's what I learned. And then with the pain medication, then as I was learning to distract myself and not put so much focus on the pain that it kept me from living my life, as I began living my life, then I began very, very slowly, is what I had to do, but I very, very slowly weaned myself off, one 12 patch at a time. And then when I got to my last 12, it took me, I don't know, maybe 6 months to wean myself.
So how did you scale that back, where let's say you go to this one patch, and then what would you normally do? I guess normally you would have another patch, but what did you do this time? Did you cut it in half?
Yes.
Or
yes.
Really? Okay.
Yes. Actually, you're not supposed to, they say. So some of the patches maybe, maybe have too much on one side and one on the other. But the particular ones that I had, I was able to cut. And so when I got down to the last 12,
okay,
I was just thinking, okay, I will just take that off. But I was concerned that my body needed to know for sure that it didn't need that medication. So I decided I am going to convince it by cutting it down one little piece at a time. So I did until I had 1/10, because I wanted my mind to know. 1/10? If you can live with 1/10 of a fentanyl patch, you don't need a fentanyl patch.
Yes.
And so when I took that off, I'm going to cry now. I think it was so powerful.
Feel free. We have Kleenexes around here.
So I was able to. But through that process, I was able to completely wean myself off of all pain medication. And now I also discovered, one thing I wanted to share with you is I discovered, in addition to all of this, in distracting myself, that there are a variety of different mind techniques that people have tried, imagery and things like that, breathing. You just kind of have to play around and see what works for you as far as what you can do to focus your mind on something else.
Definitely.
But yoga is something that I have really been able to find is a huge help for me in kind of keeping my body stretched and mobile and things like that. And it has focus and breathing, which is very important. And I just thought it was me, but recently my mother and another good friend of mine, just out of the blue without me even talking about yoga, said, I've really discovered that yoga has really helped me a lot. So probably any type of exercise, but specifically because you're doing the deep breathing along with the relaxation and this gentle stretching is something that might help some people in terms of retraining their brain to focus on other things. So
wow, that's hey, double high five for you.
Thank you.
That is
I have a changed life now, and it's pretty amazing.
You guys, that's so powerful. Like you overcame. I mean, it's like I feel like sometimes we're prisoners in our own brain, in our own thoughts.
Right.
You know, it's like, wow, that's incredible though that you were able to do that. And
I'm in the process now.
Tell us about now. You have a certification coming up, right? That you're working for.
Yes.
And we do have Kleenexes if you need any.
Thank you.
So you're welcome.
I appreciate that. Yes, I was able to come up with an idea that really made sense for me, which because I was in pain for so long, and then able to overcome that, I really felt like I was in an ideal situation to help other people not live for 21 years or even a portion of that in pain without finding out the things that I found out after 21 years. And so I am in the process of becoming a pain management coach.
Wow.
And so right now I'm working on the certification in order to go to the coaching school that I want to in order to become a health, wellness, and pain management coach. I need to have some type of fitness or health certification, and I'm not a nurse or anything, and so actually I'm just working on my group exercise instructor, not in order to actually do that, although I might like to do a little bit of yoga if I can get that training, but that way I will at least have more training in the body and how it works and so forth, and so that I can go ahead and get this coaching certification then, so that I can help other people who are in the same situation maybe that I am in, and not live in chronic pain like I did for so many years. But there's another course that I took, and there is a book that you can get online that just has a lot of different ways to handle living with chronic pain, and it's basically transforming it.
Get your pens ready, you guys.
Yes.
Write this down.
This is an amazing book, and there's some people from Stanford University that are involved in it, and so it's really great. It's just it's almost like a handbook on living with chronic pain. So it deals with not only how to deal with pain with your mind, but also exercise and fitness, eating, how to talk to your doctor, how to talk to your friends about your pain and what you need from them. I mean, it is just all inclusive. And I was able to take a course that was related to this through Texas A&M University. But I believe because this is coming from Stanford, there's probably other places where you could take a course. It's 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. But you can still get this book online, and I have found it to be so full of helpful information if you are dealing with chronic pain. And it's basically called Living a Healthy Life with Chronic Pain.
Okay, living a healthy life with chronic pain. And
Yes.
then how can, if our audience wants to reach out to you, and how you can help them, wasn't there like a website that Jim created, your husband Jim?
Right. Well, because I had a pelvic injury, sometimes we would joke that I was a pain in the rear.
Yeah.
But because that is now in my rearview mirror, we have a website called painintherearview.com.
Painintherearview.com.
Right. And so if you want to ask me questions or help or get any additional information from me, I'd be happy for you to contact me at Debbie, Debbie, at painintherearview.com.
That's incredible. I have one more question for you. When you were at, I believe the restaurant was Guido's in Galveston. I used to live there, and it was a lot of memories there.
Right.
how long ago was that? Like when you started to have that shift where you saw that bench in front of Guido's in Galveston, Texas, how many years ago was that? From right now?
That was 2018.
Oh my goodness.
This was last year.
Last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow, I didn't realize.
Right.
I thought maybe this was like 5 years ago.
No,
This was
very recent. Yes.
So when was the last? Do you remember the date of the last time you took one of those patches?
I'm thinking it was September or October of last year.
In 18.
And so
Wow.
I think it was May or June of 2018 that I started weaning myself off.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was learning all of these techniques, weaning myself off of the medication. And so all of last year is when I continued to put these into practice. And so by the end of last year, I've met people this year who hadn't seen me in a while,
Mm-hmm.
including my family that I was here for the memorial, and they're shocked. It's like, I can't believe you're not laying down on the couch all day while we're all visiting. I'm up and holding the baby and rocking him, and
Wow.
and just up and helping in the kitchen, and everyone is shocked because I really have a transformed life. It has totally transformed my life.
You've gotten your life back.
I've gotten my life back.
Guys, that's
Yes.
fantastic.
Thank you. It's
Wow.
very exciting. So, and if I can help any of you with anything that, from any of my experiences, I'd be happy to. Because it's no fun
No.
living in pain. It's debilitating, and you feel so helpless.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was
Thank
a
you
great
for
story.
inviting me, Chuck.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate
When
it.
we were talking to you for a few minutes on
Right.
Friday, I was like, this is just something's, just struck me.
Yeah.
Like I was just,
Mhm.
we have to document this and,
Thank you.
share. I hope this helps other people that are experiencing chronic pain or, it could be something else that they're dealing with.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
The power of the mind.
The power of the mind. Yes, I was
So-
astounded at the power of the mind. Yes.
If you had one sentence, this will be the last thing I ask you. If you had one words of departing wisdom, what would you
Mhm.
tell our audience here? If they're experiencing exactly what you had,
Yes,
or
yes.
what would that be?
I think I would just say that you want to take charge and no longer let the pain take charge of your life. You have the ability with your mind to transform yourself and be healthy and strong again.
You got it, guys. Debbie, thank you again.
Yeah, thank you for
Appreciate
inviting
you.
me. It was a pleasure to be here. It was an
Yeah.
honor.
This was great. So,
Yeah.
okay, guys. Well, thank you for tuning in. And if you have any questions for Debbie, say that website one more time, please.
Debbie, DEBBIE, at painintherearview.com.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And the date today is December I think it's the 16th. Is that correct?
I
2019.
believe it's the 15th.
15th.
Maybe.
Let me see.
Is it the 15th?
You're right. It's the
Okay.
15th.
Okay.
So just to give you guys a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So from when the last time you had one of those patches and had this transformation till now. So
A
it's
little over a year.
just over a year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
About 13 months, 14
Mhm.
months. So,
Mm-hmm.
but round of applause.
Thank you.
I learned that in Boy Scouts. I still do it. So
That's awesome.
great job.
Yeah.
So
Thank you. Appreciate
guys,
it.
thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.